It started with a scream so sharp, so out of place, I dropped the moving box right onto my foot. And honestly, for a split second, thought maybe a wild animal had gotten loose in the suburbs of Willow Heights. I limped around the corner of our new house, still clutching bubble wrap. And there was my wife, Ellie, standing in her old Marine Corps hoodie duffel in hand, getting chewed out by a woman who wielded a clipboard like it was her birthright. "You can't just park wherever you want," she shrieked, arms flapping like she was directing traffic at the Indy 500. Ellie's face stayed calm with that little spark in her eye. If you know her, you know the one I mean, like she's secretly entertained by how ridiculous things can get. "You want a warm welcome to the neighborhood?" That wasn't it. 2 days before Ellie and I had moved here with dreams of low-stress living after 20 years of her bouncing across continents, earning medals and surviving things most folks only see in movies, all we wanted was a quiet place to plant tomatoes, sleep through the night, and maybe, just maybe, learn to roll our own sushi. Willow Heights was supposed to be the answer, all perfectly trimmed lawns and mailboxes lined up like little soldiers. But man, nobody warned us about the HOA president. We'd barely started unpacking when a neighbor leaned over the fence and whispered, "Watch out for Karen. She runs everything here." At the time, I thought he was kidding. I mean, our driveway was empty and wide, and Ellie had only pulled up to unload a few last boxes. I'd just gone inside to set up the Wi-Fi when that shriek went off, and suddenly, boom, there she was, Karen Aldridge in the flesh. I swear Karen has the rare talent of turning absolutely anything into a crisis. She pointed at Ellie's truck like it had insulted her dog and snapped, "This isn't a parking lot. There are rules." Ellie, cool as ever, just said, "I'm unloading boxes. Is there a problem?" which you know was about as polite as anyone could muster. But Karen only got louder, going on about standards, neighborhood image precedents, you name it. I half expected her to whip out a tape measure. And then came the kicker. Just because you're new doesn't mean you get special privileges. That's when Ellie gave her this little head tilt, never a good sign, and just replied, "I understand," then went back to work like nothing happened. Karen stood there waiting for a fight, but Ellie just ignored her, and after a minute of awkward silence, Karen stormed off in a cloud of rose perfume and wounded ego. That night, over pizza and half-unpacked boxes, we tried to laugh about it. "Maybe Karen was just overzealous," I said. "Maybe she's a tyrant in yoga pants," Ellie shot back. The next day, Ellie parked in the driveway again because why not? This was our home and we didn't need permission. Karen didn't show up right away, but at exactly 9:06 a.m., her garage door rose like Darth Vader entering the room, and out she marched, clipboard ready, took one look at Ellie's truck, scribbled something down, and disappeared. By lunch, there was a notice taped to our mailbox, "Formal complaint, non-compliant driveway usage," which, as far as we could tell, was something Karen just made up. Ellie read it, grinned, and said, "She doesn't know what she started." For the next week, Karen circled like a vulture. Every morning she'd walk her Pomeranian past our house, slowing down to glare at us like we were trespassers on our own land. Ellie started tracking her routine like she was back in Afghanistan, setting watches and making little notes. And then, this was classic. Ellie, she decided to make a statement. On the 5th day, she parked her truck halfway in the driveway, put on her dress blues, not for show, just for herself, and stood there, medals catching the sun. When Karen rounded the corner, she stopped cold. Her dog yelped as she jerked the leash, and for the first time, Karen was the one who looked unsure. She kept walking, but fast, like the medals might chase her down. We thought maybe that would be the end of it. But if Karen had one superpower, it was persistence. The next day, she showed up again, not yelling, just snapping photos of Ellie's truck, then firing off another violation notice by afternoon. Ellie barely glanced at it before dropping it in the recycling. "Time to play chess," she said. You see, Karen had no idea Ellie wasn't just tough, she was trained in logistics, tactics, psychological ops. She'd solve tribal disputes with nothing but a soccer ball and a translator. Karen thought a stern letter would scare us off. Not a chance. That night we invited Mike, the neighbor who'd warned us, over for dinner. Over grilled chicken, he confirmed everything Karen bent rules, enforced guidelines as if they were laws, and had been HOA president for 6 years because no one else wanted the headache. She reinterprets everything he said. Last year she got a new patio cover paid with HOA funds. Nobody voted. Ellie leaned in. Has she ever been audited? Mike shook his head. Never. So this wasn't about a driveway anymore. It was about someone abusing her power and targeting a veteran on top of it. Ellie set up a folder, K-Files, and started logging every notice, every encounter, every weird little thing. She scoured the HOA website, dug into county housing codes, and sure enough, there was no rule against parking in your own driveway. In fact, half the citations Karen handed out were based on guidelines never approved by any board. Ellie started quietly spreading the word at the next HOA meeting, showing up with copies of the real rules. People started whispering. Someone dug up receipts for a community retreat that was just Karen at a Palm Springs hotel. Another found she'd fined renters even though the HOA didn't have jurisdiction. The more we uncovered, the more Karen doubled down. We got citations for an unauthorized flagpole, an American flag, mind you, for mailbox paint color which matched the HOA booklet even for the way our lawn edged the sidewalk. It got ridiculous. She was grasping at anything, trying to wear us down. At the next meeting, Ellie stood up cool, collected, and laid out the real rules, the fake citations, and the evidence. Karen's face went white. She tried to pivot, said there was consensus for the new interpretations, but when pressed for records, she froze. Ellie didn't yell or insult, she just asked for documentation. Consensus isn't law, she said, and handed out copies of our formal complaint. That's when things started shifting. Mike built an online archive for neighbors to share their own Karen stories anonymously. A retired teacher shared her wind chime fine. A young couple showed a letter about their pride flag. Soon enough, the entire neighborhood realized it wasn't just us, it was everyone. Karen's little kingdom was crumbling, but instead of backing down, she went nuclear, more citations, more threats, even a noise complaint about a 6-year-old's birthday party. But now people were paying attention. Then came the twist, a letter from the HOA board, but this time signed by someone else. Turns out Karen's behavior had triggered a county audit. Board members resigned. Karen lashed out in paranoid flyers about military intimidation, and neighbors finally called her out at a packed emergency meeting. When Ellie spoke calm and steady, holding up the broken flag Karen had vandalized in a fit of rage, you could feel the room shift. Mr. Wallace, the retired engineer, stood up with a copy of the audit. We know what you did. You don't get to play the victim now. The recall vote was swift. Karen was out, no drama, no shouting, just a quiet relief as ballots dropped into the box. A new interim board was chosen. Mike stepped up as tech advisor. Mr. Wallace took treasurer. Ellie, of course, declined any title, but everyone knew who'd turned the tide. The neighborhood finally felt lighter. Kids played on sidewalks. Flags flew freely. People waved hello, and the weight that nobody had really noticed was suddenly gone. Weeks passed. Ellie kept to her garden. The old flag still flew. People stopped to chat, ask advice, or just say thanks. One day, Richard Aldridge, Karen's husband, showed up with an envelope. She wanted you to have this, he said quietly. Inside was a letter, shaky but sincere. Karen admitted she'd lost herself, confessed to lashing out because she felt threatened by Ellie's confidence and respect. She didn't ask for forgiveness, just expressed regret. Ellie read it, folded it, and put it away. I hope she finds peace, she said, and meant it. The new HOA board was transparent. Suggestions were welcomed, rules debated. Someone proposed a service day in Ellie's honor. She refused the spotlight, but the vote was unanimous. Willow Heights Service Day became a thing honoring veterans, first responders, helpers of all kinds. Our home finally became what we hoped, open, peaceful, full of laughter and the smell of fresh vegetables. One night, a neighbor's little girl handed Ellie a crayon drawing. My brother says you're a hero. Ellie pinned it to the hallway board. That means more than any medal, she whispered. And just like that, Ellie became a legend in Willow Heights, not because she fought, but because she stood her ground with quiet strength and kindness. Karen faded from memory, but Ellie's story about dignity, respect, and never backing down when you know you're right became the one people told new folks on the block. So what do you think? Was it justice, community, or something? Messy or in between? Tell me, where's the line between enforcing order and losing your way? I'd love to hear your take down below.